What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Brave for America. I'm your host, Jessie, and in today's episode, we're going to go ahead and break down the one big, beautiful bill. We're going to talk about everything that is included in that bill. Well, not everything because it's 1,000 pages, but we're gonna go ahead and break down some of the most and most talked about components of this bill, some of the things that might impact you as an American citizen, and of course, we're going to talk about the massive feud between Donald Trump and Elon Musk these past couple of days. They're going back and forth on X, taking shots at each other, and we're going to break that down as well as much as we can. But before we start the podcast, guys, just want to let everybody know I am not a politician, so I don't know how these bills are going to play out. I'm not an economic expert, meaning that I don't know. I cannot predict what's going to happen in the future if these bills are passed. But I do tell you, and I'm going to try to break it down as simple as possible for an average American citizen to understand this bill. This bill is going to impact you in so many ways, whether you like it or not. But I'm going to try to keep it as unbiased as possible, but also give you my opinion on some of the things that are included in this bill. This bill, again, it's one of the biggest legislative bill that's going to be passed in American history, one of the largest bills, and we're going to try to break down today all that's included. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, guys, so first thing is first. As I mentioned, I'm not an expert on any of this. I did my research. I was able to pull out the most important and talked about provisions in this bill and things that might impact you. But I'm going to try to break it down as much as possible. Now, I read tons of articles, listened to tons of podcast episodes about this particular bill, and of course I try to read it as much as possible and get the best information for those people that have different takes on this bill, both negative and positive. But we're going to try to stay in the middle as much as possible, but I am going to give you my opinion at the end and what it means that's going to happen with this bill if it truly gets passed or if there is some changes. Now, currently where it stands now, the plan is to pass this bill before 4th of July, so we can celebrate the 250 years of America and, of course, Donald Trump's victory with this bill. This is one of the many bills that is going to pass under this administration that is massive and that is going to affect everybody here in America. So we'll see. Right now is in the Senate. The Senate is going to, of course, do a lot of adjustments and take out some things in that bill. And they're going to send it back to the House so they could renegotiate and get it approved. But we'll see if it gets approved by July 4th. We'll see. I don't see it getting passed by then because, again, there is a lot of back and forth. This bill has over, 900 pages to go over. That's why it's considered the one big, beautiful bill. A lot of celebrities, a lot of politicians, both on the left and the right, some for, some against. But we'll see how it turns out. This bill might not affect us currently when it's passed or not even the next year, but it probably will affect us in the next decade. So first thing is first. The first thing that I do want to touch up on that's included in this bill and is talked around all over social media is the massive tax cut for the middle class. Now, the first thing that needs to be approved, because it truly does need to be approved, is the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, which was passed under the first Trump administration. Now, with this tax cut, it lowered down our taxes to 4%. And what is included in this bill, if this bill is not passed, because this particular section of the bill, it's expiring this year. And if they fail to do this, our taxes are going to go back up like they were before 2017. Now, in this bill is going to include that this, not only the Act of 2017, it gets extended, but also stays permanently. All right, meaning that if it does not stay permanently, you're going to see your taxes go up at least 5 and even 6% for the middle class. The next thing on that bill, and of course, Donald Trump and his campaign have really pushed this out and promised that there's going to be no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. Remember, during his campaign run, that was his major slogan and motto that he was going to do in this bill. And as I mentioned before, thus this far, this administration is the promises they said, they're keeping the promises. So promises made, promises kept. So no tax on tips. So the no tax on tips, of course, anybody that's in that industry that has no tax on tips, in particular the food industry, anybody that takes any kind of tips. So if you get paid some kind of, hourly salary or some kind of salary, and on top of that you get paid tips, well, that percent on the tips you're not going to get taxed on. That money is going to be for you to pocket, and you don't have to claim it in your taxes at the end of the year. Also, the no tax on overtime. So any blue collar jobs, which are police officers, first responders, anybody that has the ability to do overtime, and in the past you were taxed on that overtime. Well, under this bill, you're not going to get taxed on that overtime. Now, I'm not too familiar with the breakdown because I've heard some of these experts say that, well, only a small percentage will be taxed, but not the necessarily that percentage. So the way I heard it, and again, I'm trying to break down this as much as I can. The way I heard it is that, let's just say you make $50 along with your paycheck, right? So let's just say you make $1,000, and then after overtime you make $50 per hour. All right. Well, you're still gonna get taxed for that salary you made, that $1,000, but you're not gonna get taxed for that $50 per hour on overtime. So we'll see once it comes down and once it's officially put on paper and passed as a bill. We'll see how this tax on overtime works. I'm gonna be the unfortunate one not to have this, because my job first, they don't allow us to do overtime. And if they do, we get paid. Well, we physically don't get paid with money, but we get paid by paid leave or some kind of vacation time. But we do not get paid any income to do overtime. So that's unfortunate to me. Hopefully in my future jobs, if I have that overtime and I'm approved to do that overtime, that will be a massive money that I could pocket on the side. Well, not even on the side, that I could pocket and don't have to claim on my tax returns. All right, the next one is, and of course everybody's been talking about this particular part of the bill, and I'm actually excited for this one. It's called the MAGA savings account. So just as you heard it, the MAGA savings account, I forgot what the acronym was, but it happens to be under the MAGA movement, but it's called the MAGA savings account, which will allow parents to open up trust accounts for children. These accounts will be exempt from most federal taxes and designed to help fund future education, home ownership, and entrepreneurship. So the federal government is going to actually contribute $1,000 to any child with an account. So with this MAGA savings account, the government is going to help you fund this account, and it's going to be up to the parents to not only keep up with the fund, but keep on investing onto this account. Now, it's only, and I guess people are going to criticize this, is only for American citizens, right? If that child is born to either one or both American parents, they're allowed to contribute to this account. Now, what's so special about this account is the child is not going to have access to this account until they turn 18. Right, and it's break down to 3 different sectors that they're able to waste this money on, which is good. I feel like this is a good investment for you for the child. Not only already being born, already have some kind of investment coming out as a newborn child. You're already gonna have some kind of money once you're born into the United States, which is pretty good. So this is tailored to only, like I said, any U.S. child-born citizen starting from January 2024 until now will only qualify for this program. So again, I'm excited for the MAGA savings. I don't have any kids yet, and my wife and I are planning to have kids in the near future. But this would be perfect to start. And I'm pretty sure there's tons of other savings accounts and other investments that you can invest. But this is perfectly good because not only would the federal government are already going to have that $1,000 into that account, but you're able to keep growing that account until that child turns 18. So I'm excited for that part. All right, the next one, of course, we're going to see some kind of tax break for Social Security. Now, I did not see the breakdown on this, and I'm not too familiar how Social Security works. I know, obviously, Social Security was first established as a federal assistance for senior citizens back during the New Deal under President FDR, which, of course, he was trying to rebuild the U.S. economy after the Great Depression. But again, I'm not too familiar with Social Security, and this particular topic in the bill, or the section of the bill, I was a bit confused because it said something about if they make $40,000 given in a year, they're gonna have some kind of tax break if they have a combined Social Security account with their spouse. I think it said over 80 or 90,000 per year. They're gonna have some kind of tax break. And again, I did not really see the breakdown of that, but I am gonna look into it once that final provision of the bill comes out and see what it truly affects, and is it truly a tax break, right? We'll see what this tax break brings for the senior citizen. The next one that people are talking about, and it caught me off surprise, is the no tax on car loan interest, right? So those of you that are buying cars, are going to take out a loan to buy a new car, you're going to have some kind of tax break. You're going to have exactly a $10,000 tax break into your tax return on that car loan interest. So you're going to have that tax break. But there is one part that needs to be done. It needs to be an American-made car, which will allow you to be qualified for that $10,000 tax break. Right, so that car, now I think the parts could be made in other foreign countries. For example, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ford, I think 80-90% is made here in America. But of course, the other 10-20% is made in foreign countries, because of course some of the parts have to be made in foreign countries. But Ford, you're going to able to have some kind of tax break with the Ford, and I think. Of course, you have Tesla, you have Chevy, and I believe Toyota is starting to build here in America. So any final American car that's the final product is built here in America, you're going to have that tax break on that car loan. Now, for me, I have not took on a car loan, and I'm not sure how those car loans work beforehand. But those of you that are looking for a car, that need a new car, this is going to be a massive tax break for you. That way, you could buy not only an American car, but also enjoy that tax break, right? I guess it's a win-win, not only for the customers that are going to buy, they're going to qualify for the car loan interest, but also for these American car companies. Like I said, Ford, they're going to have a massive business coming their way because of these tax cuts, right? All right, the next big thing that every liberal is pretty much every liberal that's taking shots at this part of the bill is Medicaid changes. So the whole idea with Medicaid in this bill, and from what I read, is politicians, in particular in the right, are saying that this is to eliminate any waste, fraud, and abuse, right? And on the left, they're fighting for, no, the Medicaid still needs to be here in the federal government and does not need to be reduced. They're telling people on the left, especially, I think that the Speaker of the House, Chuck Schumer, is going out saying that Donald Trump's going to take your Medicaid and that he doesn't want anybody to have the Medicaid, and it's going to cause so many people to get sick and lose their lives, all that victim and all those those crazy comments that the left make, but for the most part is aimed to reduce this fraud and abuse. We all know, especially with federal assistance, that majority of the people that are under these assistance don't really need it, right? And it's not for me to discourage or for me to attack people that are under this program. It's perfectly fine that you are. I'm not against it. You know, I truly believe if you truly do need this assistance, then by all means sign up and see if you qualify for it. But if you truly don't need this assistance, then you're just you're having the federal government, or you have taxpayers like average citizens like myself paying for this assistance for somebody that truly does not need it, and that they could actually get themselves off the couch and go work to pay these medical funds or these medical payments for themselves, right? So I think I'm for this. Well, most likely I am, because I've seen so many people take advantage of these federal assistance, and some people truly don't need it. Again, some people do, but people don't. Some people don't. Majority of people don't. And I feel like those people that don't are actually taking from the people that actually do need it. So I'm all up for it. And of course, there is some states that already have these types of regulations. You know, if this bill is truly passed, and this part of the section of the bill of any Medicaid reduction, it is going to allow these requirements into the bill, right? It's going to allow the customer or the American that is seeking to have some kind of Medicaid have them to have some kind of community engagement or some kind of 80 hours per month of work, education, service for any adults without dependent, meaning that once you qualify, those are the requirements that you need to abide by for you to be able to receive this type of assistance, which makes perfectly sense, right? It's 80 hours per month. It's not saying per week, because 80 hours is it's a little over a full-time job, right? Because typically a work week is 40 hours and 2 weeks is 80. So it's just asking for 80 hours. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be for you to actually physically work, because these people that have Medicaid that truly need it, some of them cannot truly work because they have some kind of health issues, right? But they are asking you to do some kind of requirement for you to qualify, right? Whether it's work, whether it's some kind of education or some kind of service, especially those without dependents. So that's gonna weed out those people that truly don't need it and that are sitting on the couch and taking all this Medicaid and free assisting. Now, and I'm not just talking about Medicaid, because I think in the bill also, and then I didn't include it here in my notes, but in the bill it also talks about SNAP assistance, which is the assistance for food, right? Those people that need to purchase food that truly do not have the money to purchase food throughout the month for their loved ones or for themselves, of course. Same thing. I think all that, instead of being it on the federal budget, is they're going to push it to the states. And a lot of people are against it because people say, well, people are not going to eat. Well, you also have to think, some people, again, are taking advantage of these assistance. People truly do not need it. And it's time to regulate these things, right? These people that, like myself, don't qualify for those type of assistance because I make over the amount that it's over the amount that determines if I qualify or not, right? So, but yeah, the snaps, and I've seen it on social media. My wife and I have seen it on social media where these influencers are going around. They're in stores filling up the cars. They're like, you know what? I have government assistance. I'm using SNAP while y'all paying for my food, and I get to go on vacations, buy bags, this and that. Wait, what? If you are showing the people that you don't need it, that you're pretty much making fun of us taxpayers that don't qualify for these programs to pay for your food, when you could get up on your feet to go work and provide that hard-earned money for you to buy food for you and your family. So yeah, and it gets on my nerves because, first of all, why would you be showing off that you qualify for the SNAP program, and you're telling people that you're getting free food from the government, but you're also buying bags and you're also taking vacations? Yeah, you know what? No, those kind of people that are posting that online on social media should not be allowed to qualify under that program. And that's my opinion. You can hate it or not. I don't care. These are my tax dollars paying for their food when I don't qualify for these services. Why should they? If they're showing to the people that they could they're showing everybody that they could buy bags. They're buying these brand name Michael Kors, what other Tory Burch bags, and then still having money to go take a vacation, and they don't have to waste any money to pay bills or any money for food. When my wife and I don't qualify for these programs, we pay for all that. We pay with our hard-earned money to pay our bills and food. So no, let's reduce this fraud, these wasteful programs. Well, no, I'm not gonna say it's wasteful because it's not a wasteful program, and people do truly need it. But if you don't, there needs to be some more verification, and that's what this bill is gonna bring. Also, under those Medicaid changes, you have to verify to be in the program once a year. You're going to have to verify it twice a year now. So that's good. Again, it's going to do a quick checkup to see what are your updates, to see if you're actually doing the requirements under the Medicaid requirements under this bill. Also, in that part of the Medicaid, and again, this is one of my larger lists because, again, I'm seeing where this bill is going with these Medicaid reduction and exposing this fraud. Next one is banning funding for gender affirming care. Now, some of y'all are saying this is not happening. This is not true. The conservatives, the right, are spreading out these mis and disinformation that these in the LGBT community are receiving gender affirming care under Medicaid. And it is true. It is true. Whether the percentage is low, which is fine. I think I saw, and sometimes these numbers I feel like are not accurate. It was a 9-10%. But there's a lot of loopholes to everything. A lot of loopholes. I notice there's a loophole to everything. If you don't think there's a loophole there is. And once I did my research, I noticed that in 17 states, 17 allow these LGBTQ or these transgender individuals to request Medicaid to pay for their gender affirming care. All right. And guess what? Guess which one is on top of that list? California. California is on top of the list. Again, the most liberal state there is here in the United States or even in the world. They allow our tax dollars to pay for gender affirming care, and in this bill is going to eliminate that and allow this fraud and abuse to not happen anymore under this reduction and wasteful and fraud of Medicaid. So that's going to be another great thing under this bill that needs to be enforced. And of course, they're going to go back and forth in the Senate, and we're going to see exactly what's going to happen. Also, it's going to ban funding for Planned Parenthood. So with Planned Parenthood, and I did my research because I've heard, both sides, and I've heard all over social media that Planned Parenthood, they not only a fund for women to get abortions, but they also fund, provisions and treatment for HIV, some kind of STDs, and then they help with other programming and educating the community with, sex education, this and that. But the part that I disagree with, it's the whole abortion. And we could get on this topic forever and ever, but this is not the podcast I'm going to do. But abortion, our tax dollars especially should not be going towards funding for some women to get an abortion. All right. That was your choice to have that sexual intercourse with your partner or with a partner you probably don't know, is your fault, and it's not up to us for us to fund you to have that abortion. And of course it goes against my faith. Every child deserves to have an opportunity to be born and be alive, right? Now, if you're a Christian, that goes everything what God says, God's plan for humanity, and we're going to go around and have a program that funds abortion to kill innocent babies, because people call it a fetus, people call it a clump of cells, which, no, this is a human being. You were once a clump of cell, and then now you are a human being, and you were made in the perfect image of God. But enough that I know I went on a tangent on that. But that gets me filled up, because everybody deserves an opportunity to live. Everybody deserves an opportunity to live this beautiful life that God has planned for us. And for an organization to fund abortion, and people are going to be, I know there's a lot of people are going to be against it, women especially liberal women. They're going to be like, it's my body, my choice. Well, no, it's not your choice. Like Charlie said, that individual has his own DNA. That, yes, that person, that baby is inside of you temporarily, but it has its own separate DNA, and it has every right to live. But again, I'm sorry about that. I know I'm going on a tangent, but no, I'm glad that this bill includes, banning funding for parent parenthood. And it does happen, because I did see a report that in 2022, in the fiscal year of 2022 and 2023, this organization received $699.3 billion in funding from Medicare reimbursement, meaning that this Medicaid helped fund this organization to allow women to have abortions. So I'm glad this bill includes that no more, we're not going to use our tax dollars. If you want an abortion, find a way for you to fund that. Or, you know what? Not even find a way, that you should be criminally convicted for murder if you're going to go have an abortion. Hopefully that happens in the next couple of years, because that's inhumane. As much as people say it's not, it's inhumane for you to murder a baby. It's murder. But again, this bill is going to include that, not to have our tax dollars being paid for abortion, especially not my tax dollars. And I'm glad Texas banned abortion here in the States, here in Texas. So I'm glad it's banned here, and we're no more of our tax dollars are going to go against programs and against humans that deserve a chance to live. And of course, the last part, and I know I'm going on a long list on the Medicaid, the reduction in fraud in Medicaid. But the last thing is, states are now going to be allowed to require drug testing for some categories of Medicaid recipients, meaning that now they're going to start drug testing these people if they are taking some kind of illegal substance. They will no longer qualify for Medicaid assistance. All right. So that's enough with Medicaid. We're going to go ahead and jump into the next one. That the next thing that it's really, really big is the funding for 1 million migrant deportation. So not only do we have this massive tax cut, these reductions of programs, you also are going to have funding for migrant deportation. So in this bill, and again, from now on, if you have been following me for this long, you know my take on immigration, and I'm not going to go over what my take is. I'm just giving you the facts that I've seen on this bill. So $486.5 billion will go to reviving the construction of Trump's wall along the U.S. and Mexico border. So we all know after in Trump's first term, he was the one that said build the wall. He started construction for the build wall. And during Biden, they had halted the building of the wall. And now under this bill is $46.5 billion of our tax dollars is going to go towards building the rest of this wall. Now, my take on the wall, I don't see why he's going to continue to build the wall. And I've heard Charlie say this before, because I think in one of Charlie's college debate, I forgot what college, I think it was Texas A&M, some kid went up to the mic and said, well, why hasn't Trump finished building the wall? And then Charlie responded and said, well, we don't need to build the wall at the moment because right now we have a 98% reduction of migrants coming into the country, meaning that the border is closed for business, right? Which those were Charlie's words, not exact words, but those are the words he said to that individual, which is true, right? If you see the report, if you see photos, videos of the southern border, there is nobody passing that southern border because what's happening with, we have military that are stationed there. We have some of these criminal, illegal immigrants being deported to the maximum security prison in Salvador, and which is scaring some of these immigrants to come into the country. But my take on this, those 46.5 billion, in my opinion, can go towards something else. I believe it shouldn't go towards funding the wall. And the reason why I say this is because, as Charlie mentioned, the southern border is already closed. Why do we need to build a wall? What we need to do is fund other things that we need here in America. I don't think that we need to fund the wall because, again, there's nobody passing this side of the southern part of the United States. Nobody's coming into the southern border. We need to focus on securing the northern border, Canada, because there's still fentanyl and drugs getting crossed through Canada into the northern part of the United States. But, if we have a 98 reduction, we have military stationed at the southern border, I don't believe we should have, we shouldn't continue to build this wall. Now, maybe Donald Trump wants to build it in a long term, meaning that the reason he's doing this is because maybe if a Democrat president comes in, of course, he's going to put a stop on the construction of the wall, and then they're going to allow more illegal migrants to come into the United States. But, like I said, my take is, use that 46.5 billion for something else, maybe. And again, I'm not a tax expert. I'm not an expert on where this our tax dollars should go to, but I feel like that money could be best used somewhere else and not towards the wall. Of course, it is going to create jobs. Is going to create jobs because they're going to need people to build this wall, but I think it could go towards somewhere else, especially if we already have it secure. And if we make these foreign groups as terrorist groups, I could see no reason why we won't have the military station there forever. So that's one part of the bill that I am against. And there's something else too, which I'll mention in the end. There's going to be the next part of this, and it's still part of that migrant deportation fund, is so the total of all this, I think is going to cost us, where is the number? I think I saw, it's going to cost us, no, I don't see the number here. I thought I had a total number, but I don't. 69 billion is going to go towards hiring an additional 3,000 new border patrol agents and 5,000 new custom enforcement agents, which are the ICE officers. Of course, again, this is all under the funding for 1 million migrant deportations. They're going to need people to help with this deportation effort, right? And as I mentioned before, I have my take on immigration. Nobody wants to see humans being deported back, but again, that's the way I see it, right? This is, again, and I was not going to go into it, but now, so those of you that are barely joining my channel, barely joining my podcast, I do understand those people that come in illegally, they did break the law. We have to acknowledge that they broke the law. There's no way of fighting that. It doesn't matter what's going on in your home country. Doesn't matter if there's corruption. It doesn't matter if you're running away from murder or if somebody wants to kill you and your family. One thing is let's first acknowledge that they did commit a crime coming into the country illegally, right? There is people that come here the right and the correct way, but if they break in illegally, we have to acknowledge that is a crime. All right. Two, America, with this mass immigration, slowly but surely, America is going to be like these other European countries where there's massive immigration and we do not know exactly who belongs here, what America truly stands for if we accept a mass of illegal or mass migration into our country. For example, you have Ireland. Ireland has a big problem with mass migration. You have England, right? England has mass migration. And if you go, and I heard Charlie say that, and I've seen some videos where if you go to England, that you don't even know if people were to travel there, you probably will think that you're in a Middle Eastern country, because England has been taken over with nothing but Middle Eastern countries that have mosques, that have their Middle Eastern flags all over England. And you're like, wait, well, I thought this was England, not this Middle Eastern country. So that's the problem with mass migration. We do not want to lose what America really truly stands for. We don't want to lose that touch. And also the take on immigration is that a lot of people say we're on stolen land, and this is every part here in the Americas is stolen land. You know, people were obviously killed and they were taken advantage by Europeans, but not only America, but of course America, they always want to point to America, this is America's stolen land. But because America was able to prosper, people were placed in the right place at the right time, taking these territories that were necessary for America, and of course prevailed in any North America and South America country in the world, right? In this new world. So America was able to prevail. Yes, we're on stolen land, but also Mexico stolen, right? Guatemala stolen, Honduras, El Salvador, all those countries are stolen as well, because those countries belong to Native Americans. They belong to Native Americans, and now, of course, those people, those Europeans that settled in these countries, killed all the Native Americans, or pushed out the Native Americans, and then they were able to take over the country. And the same thing with America. But because America was able to prevail and were able to be the leading and superpower of the world, everybody wants to be here. So that's why a lot of people are saying, well, you are on stolen land. Oh, so were you. So were your ancestors. And so were your parents. Your parents were on stolen land if they're coming from Mexico, right? Or they're coming from other parts of the Americas, right? They came from stolen land. And also, too, America cannot be the savior of the world, right? The people in these countries have to hold their government officials, their president, accountable, right? They have to hold because they have to hold them accountable. Because if they're not fixed, I could bet you, $100 that if their country, for example, if Mexico is fixed or whatever other country is fixed in the Americas, Salvador is already on the track, but let's just say Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, let's just say that they're able to do some kind of massive shift where their economy is booming, the job market is booming, people are willing to stay there, people are rebuilding in the country. I don't think half of those people will even come to America. Why would they come to an unknown country where, one, the majority of their family are not going to be here, and two, they're going to go to a country that they don't understand. And then because America is America, and we are, not only do we have, of course, we do have, it's very, and I don't like to use this word anymore for some reason. I was going to say diverse, but I hate using that word now. What is diverse and all these left wing keywords, but of course we are America, and we have differences and different types of people, and we do speak different kinds of languages. But if you go around, the stop sign, the streets names, the names of addresses, the buildings are all in English. Our official language is English. So they're gonna come into a country where they can't even read the signs. But yeah, guys, it was just another tangent as well. But that's my take on immigration. Yes, it is sad. Yes, these people, they do deserve it. They're coming here because they want not only to promote a better life for themselves and their families, but They want to escape a so-called violent and corrupted country. And yeah, it is sad. And of course, here in America, we're very fortunate enough. We're very fortunate to be here, to live here, to be an American. So, and like I said, it's sad, but again, we have to first acknowledge they broke the law. Let's acknowledge if they come in here illegally, they broke the law. Second, I mean, we cannot be savior of the world. We just cannot be the savior of the whole world. And then three, we need to stop mass migration, and we truly need to rebuild our country back the way it was and focus on American citizens first before we bring in anybody and help anybody else. So that's my take on that. All right. The next part of the migrant deportation, along with adding those jobs, they are going to start opposing a $1,000 fee on migrants seeking asylum. So that's never been done before, and I've seen it once when I was doing my research, that they're going to start charging these people $1,000 fee if they're coming into the country seeking asylum. So you are going to see a lot of hate. People are saying, well, you see this administration, or you see Trump and his administration, you know, they're Nazis and they're Hitler because they're excluding people to seek asylum. But I mean, some of these people do lie on their applications, and people are truly not asylum seekers. They come in, they lie, they break laws, and then they want people to feel bad for them, right? So we'll see. I'm not too familiar with the asylum program. I'm not too familiar with it, but once the bill is finalized, I'm pretty sure that part of the bill is going to stay. Anything that has to do with deportation, I'm 100% sure is going to stay, because, again, not only do we have a president that's Republican, but we have majority of the House and Senate that's majority Republican. So I think that part of the bill will stay. So enough with the migration. The next big thing on that bill is the Trump Golden Dome. Now, I'm not too familiar of how this is gonna look. I did see that Trump has some kind of model where there's this big golden shield covering all of America. But what this Golden Dome is gonna, in the bill, is gonna include $150 billion to fund the Defense Department and national security, which would include $25 billion for Trump's Golden Dome for America, a long envision of missile defense shield. So again, I seen the model. The model, it looks like straight up from a, back in the future or into the future model, where again, this is golden shield covering all American. I can't visually picture it in my head because I don't know how it's going to look like. I don't know if it necessarily is going to be some kind of massive shield, literally like a physical shield, or is it going to be some kind of shield that might be invisible, that will break off those missiles when they come in. I'm not too sure. And once it comes out, I know this is going to take a long time to build. I know it's going to be heavy on technology. It is going to create jobs, but I'm very interested to see how this Golden Dome is going to look like. But it's good, because not only is it for us to defend ourselves from any incoming missiles, because we know majority of our adversaries, like China, Iran, I said Iran, but Iran, China, Iran, Russia, all have, I'm 100% sure, from their country, they have missiles pointed to America, and a split of a second, they'll be here in America. With this massive dome, this Golden Dome, it will protect us from any incoming missiles. But we'll see how actually will be built. How actually would it be built, and what would it look like? And I am excited for that part. And this how you know that this is a good idea, because you have China, and I think you have Russia, and I think if I'm not mistaken, North Korea were pretty much against America building this defense, because it says, well, it goes against our trust, it goes against what America plans to do in the next couple of years. But hey, if they are mad about it, especially if China's mad about it, I'm excited for it, right? Because anything that China disagrees with us, that should be a win for us, because China does not want to see us prevail, right? They don't want us to see it prevail. They want to take our place of being the #1 superpower in the world. And by us building this, we're going to have some kind of defense, along with the Golden Dome, and under the Defense Department and National Security, we're going to have $21 billion to restock the nation's ammunition arsenal. So meaning that we're going to have a massive investment into our, pretty much our weapons, right? Our weapons. We all know under the Biden administration, when they withdrew from Afghanistan in that horrible withdrawal, we lost a lot of weapons, tanks, very important weapons that were left behind. We also gave weapons to Ukraine, so I know we have a low count of ammunition, and investing will not only put us back where we were, but we're going to be able to invest in new and improved weapons and ammunition. So that's good on that. $34 billion to expand the naval fleet with more shipbuilding. So not only do we want to be strong inland, in the air with Air Force, but we also want to be a superpower in our Navy, right? In the water, in our oceans. So, yeah, investing in shipbuilding is going to be important, because I'm pretty sure we have outdated ships. China, Russia have one of the most updated ships in the world. We need to invest in that, because, again, we need to be able to protect ourselves. If we're not able to protect ourselves, we're not going to stand here for long. We're going to collapse just like the Roman Empire did. And, we're not going to be the superpower in the world. So investing into our defense and national security is going to be very important. All right. And this part of the bill also, under that funding, Defense Department, $9 billion is going to go towards service member that qualifies for any life-related issues, including housing, healthcare, and any special pay. So we do need to take care of our veterans. Some of them after they leave their thing, I forgot what's it called. Not they leave their, I forgot what it's called. I'm kind of blanking on that. But once they are officially out of being in the military, whether it's the Navy, Air Force, Marines, they have a tough time adjusting to normal life. Some of them have PTSD. Some of them have some kind of health complications. Some of them can't even afford housing. So that's good, where $9 billion is going to be invested into taking care of our veterans. They're the ones who risk their lives on the line, and they also make sure that we keep our freedom here in America. So I'm glad that this bill includes that. Next one on the list in this bill that's also important is drill, baby, drill. Now, this bill is an include for them to start allowing more and more drilling. Now, this will just increase the leasing and permits on public lands to start drilling. As Trump said, we need to drill, baby, drill. This is going to allow for massive infrastructure around the world, power energy, fossil fuels, and for us to power up factories, and, of course, AI centers. So that's going to be good. The last thing that I do want to include is AI regulations. So in the bill is going to include some kind of AI regulations, and not the ones you think. So I am against this part of the bill, and it might be, apart from what I said earlier, the one that I'm heavily against. So in this bill is going to include that a nationwide ban on new state-level AI regulations for the next 10 years, right? Meaning that the states are not going to be able to regulate any deep fakes, any face recognition, any work protection, or any algorithm discriminations. We see it all over our social media accounts, where we see these deep fakes, where we see these people impersonating somebody else, and sometimes it's hard for us to tell from the truth and what's fake, right? It's hard for us to tell what's true and what's fake. And what this bill is going to do is going to pretty much ban the states for states not to regulate any AI for 10 years, which could cause a big problem. That's a whole decade. That's 2035 10 years, anything could happen. So I'm against this. Yeah, and the same thing. People are it's even Republicans, not only Democrats, but especially Republicans. Again, the Republicans are against this because they're saying, well, states need to be able to regulate it on a state level because they're the ones who encounter their citizens first before the federal government does, right? So states need to be able to regulate it. There's a whole bunch of chaos that could come out of not regulating AI. I think this is one of the first or second bill on AI, but I'm pretty sure there's more to come. But the states need to have some kind of control how to regulate AI, right? Now, the people that are for it are saying, well, the federal government wants to control AI on a federal level first. That way that we're able to build, do more research, build more data centers, AI data centers, and be able to outweigh our competitors in other countries, right? Because if you did not know just how we were in a space race back in the 1960s, 1970s, an arms race, now we're in an AI race, right? And America needs to be first in this AI race. America needs to win this AI race no matter what it takes, but just having the federal government in control, I'm not too sure. I don't know how I feel about that. States need to have some kind of regulations because, again, they encounter us first before we even have any say in the federal government. But people, I'm not too sure how this is going to play out. I know people that are against it are also saying, well, this is also giving big tech corporations control and giving them the upper hand because they already have contracts with the federal government. They're already implementing some kind of AI initiatives, and they're going to have the upper hand. And this is a way to shut down these small businesses on the state level because the federal government is going to control, and these upper big tech companies are going to be partnering with the federal government. And those big companies we know, Google, Meta, OpenAI, those are the ones that on the top of my head I remember. They're already working with the federal government, and people are saying, well, the federal government wants to halt small businesses and other small corporations that are trying to build AI models. But who knows? Again, I'm against this, and hopefully we're able to find some kind of agreement, or senators are able to find some kind of agreement. But when they do, hopefully this really does test our future in AI. And I've said it before, AI is gonna bring a lot of changes into America. A lot of changes. We are gonna see massive shifts, not only in the work industries, but the way we do things, the way we're able to function as a normal society. Now it's not gonna be the same with AI. Right? AI is going to change up the game so much in so many ways. So that's why this part of the bill, when I was doing my research, I was like, you know what, this is important in the bill because it needs to have some kind of ban on a state level. State need to be able to regulate it somehow. But that's my take. Hopefully they're able to make some kind of changes, and hopefully we're able to see what those changes are, and I'll make an update once those changes are made. Now, some things to consider before I move on to the last topic is, there is going to be changes made. So some things that I included, small things could be changed, massive things could be changed, things can be included, but we won't know until the Senate comes to some kind of compromise, and it's sent back to the House. The House revisits some of the changes, and then of course, I believe it goes back to the Senate if anything is changed, and then it's on the president's desk to be signed into a official bill. So that's one thing to consider. The next thing to consider, and everybody's talking about, is the increase in the debt, in our debt deficit, meaning that right now we're in $36.56 trillion in debt. With this bill, people that are against this bill are saying that this is going to create a massive debt into our national debt, right? Which is going to put another $2 or $3 trillion in the next couple of years. And of course, who's going to pay for it? Us taxpayers. Now, at the beginning of the episode, I said I'm not an expert on this. I'm not in economics. I don't have businesses yet. Not know what way is going to, because I've heard takes from, entrepreneurs, business owners. I've heard from, I think, Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. I've heard from, of course, we already heard from Elon, which we'll talk about that. Charlie, Tucker. I haven't heard from Rogan yet, but who knows if he has something to say about this. They have a different take. Some people are, again, like I said, mentioned before, people are against it. People are saying, no, there's not going to be any national debt. It's not going to create a debt deficit because what Trump is doing with these cuts, it's going to outweigh and is actually going to help us repay some kind of debt. But again, I'm not the expert. Only time could tell in the next couple of years, but I have my, first I'm going to place my trust in God first, and then anything under that comes from God, he is the one that is in control. So we'll see what happens in the next 10 years if it truly goes those two ways, or either way, I should say. But enough with that. That's it for the big, beautiful bill. The last thing that I do want to touch up on, and there's been a few these past couple of, what's been over 24 hours now, these past 2 days, is the feud between Trump and Elon Musk. Now, we all know that Elon Musk was temporarily with the administration. He helped pretty much control and help build the Department of Efficiency, which Doge. He was able to expose a couple of things. And the one that was supposed to take charge, and I hear a lot of people talk about this. Initially, it was supposed to be Vivek. Vivek is the one who brought the idea up first. Elon came into the picture. Behind closed doors, I think they had some kind of disagreements. Vivek decided to leave. Now he's running for governor of Ohio, so we'll see how that plays out. Which, I mean, it's not going to affect me in particularly, but that's going to be another red state. If it's not red already, because I can't remember if it's a red state or not. I think it is. But yeah, so the feud, once, I think, after a couple of hours, after Elon Musk left the White House, and of course, it was a big send-off, a big farewell. Trump gave him the key to the White House. The media was there taking pictures, all smiles, and after he left, I'm not sure what happened. But Elon Musk tweet the first tweet, and I'm not going to read word per word because I'm pretty sure you've seen screenshots, you've seen it on X, you've seen it on other social media platforms. But pretty much initially, the first one said that that Elon is against the big beautiful bill. It cannot be big and beautiful. He's saying that it's abomination, that this is gonna put us more in a debt deficit, and just pretty much taking shots at the bill. And then Trump coming back and saying, well, I don't know why Elon is so upset. He knew everything that was going to be on the bill. If he had a concern, he would have. How come he didn't address it at the time? So it's just this back and forth. And the one thing that drew everyone closer is when Elon Musk tweeted out and said that Trump, the reason that the Epstein files have not been released is because Trump is actually in those files, and that pretty much calling Trump a pedophile. So regardless what you think about that back and forth feud, it's like two childs that their parents, or not the parents, but that two childs that have some kind of beef going on, and instead of disputing it in person or over a call, they decided to take shots at each other on Twitter. So that is the feud between those two. My take on it, it's, Elon Musk has past history, a track record of going on these tangents and taking shots at various celebrities, politicians. I think if you read his book, and I can't remember who this individual was. I think if my memory serves me correctly, it was that massive, that big story that broke out, I think in 2020 or before 2020, where these college students were stuck in a cave, and some person that was involved in that whole case, where I think it was in Thailand. I can't remember where. They couldn't take the kids out, and they wanted Elon Musk and his help with SpaceX to see if they were able to successfully get these students and professors out of this cave. But I'm not sure what happened at the end. Elon Musk, it comes to find out they did not need Elon Musk's help, and Elon Musk called one of them a pedophile. Called him one of them a pedophile. Went on this long tangent on X, and was going back and forth. And of course, he was sued for defamation, and I think he had to pay back a big lawsuit to that individual. But regardless, like I said, Elon Musk has a track record of going back and forth with people. He has a problem of, we all know he has, I think it's called Asperger's or some kind of I wouldn't call it disability, some kind of illness. I can't remember from the top of my head what it is, but he goes on this long tangent. He takes shots at people. He has a low temper, and just because he's the powerful and most wealthiest man on the planet does not give him every right to take shots at anybody he wants. So Trump was also wrong for responding. He just should have just let it go and moved on. But only people behind closed doors knows exactly what happened between these two. Whether it was truly just the bill, was it something else that brought tension between the two? But who knows, right? I'm more 100% sure that Elon Musk and Trump are gonna come together and build that friendship they once had. But you have two the most powerful business people in the world going head to head, and that also gives you another point that not all Republicans agree on all the same thing, right? There is disagreements with multiple things that go on in the world that Republicans in themselves disagree with. Not like the Democrats, where they unite and they agree with everything. Like they agreed with Kamala being the most qualified president, or Biden being the most competent and sharp as a tech president, and the most smartest president, where they all could agree that he is fit to be a president. On the other side, you have individuals disagreeing, which is a good thing. That shows you that there is some tension and they're not going to agree on everything, right? But Elon Musk already had some issues with some of the key cabinet members. I think he was going back and forth with Marco Rubio, but we'll see. Only time could tell. I believe it's going to affect both of them. I think it is going to affect more Elon Musk, because Elon Musk has government contracts with SpaceX, Starlink, and Tesla has some kind of government contract. So I think that's going to affect him in the long run. Trump, I don't think it's going to affect him at all. I mean, he's still going to be doing what he needs to do to continue to rebuild this country and do what he said. Do the promises he said to the American people, to put America first and continue to do the job that needs to be done. I do want to see somebody else. I still want to see Doge be part of this administration. I would like to see Vivek come back, see if he's able to take on this task force, but I don't think that's possible, because again, he's going for the governorship of Ohio. But this feud is pretty funny, because you have the left saying, well, especially when Elon's exposed, or quote unquote exposed, Trump being on the files. Now the left is asking for these files to be released. And the way I see it, I don't think Trump is part of these files. And if he was under, because we all know that under the Biden administration, they were weaponizing Trump in so many ways. They try to put him in jail. They try to assassinate him. What makes you think that if they had some kind of intel, some kind of proven evidence that he was on the Epstein files, they would have released that as well? Because they were doing anything to get this man not to be president again. So I don't think he is in the Epstein files. Not as, or at least not as I think he is. Maybe he is mentioned every once in a while, as far as Jeffrey Epstein attending one of his parties and some kind of having some dispute. But I did hear on some podcasts back in 1999 when Epstein first was being alleged for these crimes back in 1999, Trump pretty much started to close all communication with Jeffrey Epstein. So he didn't want Jeffrey Epstein to be part of his entourage, or even be part of his famous parties at Mar-a-Lago. So, but yeah, those are the few things that I feel are going to be included. But I'm 100% sure that Trump is not in these files as far as being a pedophile. So, but they are protecting somebody. We don't know who they're protecting because they have not released them. But we'll see. We'll see. So hopefully they're able to patch things up, and hopefully they're able to come together, because America needs both of them. Obviously, I mean, Elon Musk, like everybody, I perceive him not only as a genius but also as a sort of a not just a genius, but he acts like a child sometimes. He goes on these tangents, and he goes on these outbursts, takes things too serious, and intentionally attacks people online. But yeah, you know, we do need a genius. But people didn't vote for Elon. People did not vote for Elon, and we all voted for Trump, because Trump said that he would. Trump promised the American people an agenda, and that's what he's going to commit to. But Elon Musk, of course, played a big role. He was able to help Donald Trump win Pennsylvania. He was able to fund his campaign. But aside from that, you know, Trump was already already had his movement built. Elon Musk, if anything, helped him in a small portion to get him across that finish line. But I don't think Trump needs him now. In the future, he would. But we'll see. I'm excited because, again, the left are now shifting back to Elon's side, which is pretty funny. They were against him. They were burning his Teslas. They were saying that he was doing the Nazi salute. He was a sitting president. And now all of a sudden, because of what this feud between him and Donald Trump, now the left are swinging back to his side and saying, well, now we want the files to be released, and they might start building statues for Elon Musk and saying that he's the greatest person in the world. So it's funny. That's how you know the left are, especially the far left, are corrupt and are hypocrites. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of days. Hopefully there's an update on the big beautiful bill, and the fraud between these two come to an end, and they're able to build that friendship, that honeymoon phase they were in. But we'll see. Only time could tell. At the moment right now, Elon Musk did a fantastic job with Doge. He helped get Trump to the finish line, like I said. But right now, it's Trump and Trump's administration that we voted for to take on the charge and put America first and rebuild this country greater than ever. So that's it for today, guys. Hopefully you've gained a lot of insights in this episode. Do your own research, because don't just take all the information I just gave you and be like, okay, well, we'll see how it plays out. He must be correct because he did his research. No, do your own research. Fact check me. If I miss something, you can put it in the comments. But we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks, because this bill is set to pass in July 4th. But only time will tell. All right. So again, do your research. Make sure that you are having a great, fantastic day, that you praising and worshiping our Lord and Savior, and you are having a blessed day. God bless you. God bless your family. And that's pretty much it for today, guys. Be brave for your family. Well, first of all, be brave for our Creator. Be brave for our Lord and Savior. Be brave for your family. And of course, be brave for America. Bye-bye, everybody.